Opening drive plays in options can be highly lucrative if you have a perfect entry. Now, this is one of those setups where you can either get a very high return, or if you mess up, if you don't do your due diligence, you can actually be down 20 to 30% of your position. So today I'm going to break down one of the Google trades that I took this week. A lot of you guys have messaged me about it. So let's break that trade down and explain exactly why I took it, how to hold these trades when they're working in your favor, and how to make sure you don't give any of these profits back. Let's get into it. So here's the trade that we took on Google. It was the 290 call contracts. These are for the same week expiring contracts. These are not 2 week out or 3 week out. I like to only trade weeklies. They have high return, but they also have high risk. But if you know how to manage both properly, you could have very good returns in a very short period of time. All right, so the position size was 68,000, giving me roughly 150 contracts priced around $4.55 each. Stop loss was around 390 to 395, which is roughly 10 to 15% loss if I am wrong on this trade. I don't like to get closer to 20%. I like to stay closer to 10 to 15% loss at max. The R multiple on this was around 5.8 and average exit was $8.08. Premiums actually ran all the way to 14 and change. You guys can see that here. But my final exit was around $13.10 because I scaled out, and I'll explain why and how to properly scale out as well as we get along into this trade. Now, few mistakes that I think I did make because the net profit on this trade was 77%. I think I could have squeezed out much more profit, but I scaled out very aggressively early on in the trade because a lot of these opening drives haven't been giving us the best follow-throughs. So I like to catch a little bit of the profit in early on, just so that if I'm wrong, I'm not red on the trade and I'm only giving back some of the profits or most of the profits rather than being red if it pulls back. So now let's break down why we were looking at this, right? So this is Google's chart. We'll focus on it from up until previous day, right? So this is the day. This is probably pre-market. This is what you would be looking at. So the first thing you want to identify is what is the high, right? So high of Google on the daily chart is around 293 and change. This wick is going to be your high. Second thing you want to identify is what is the inside day or previous day's high and low, right? So that's going to be right around here. We're going to put that up, which is 288 and change roughly, and 278 and change, right? So now this is your high and low for the previous day. Our all-time high on the daily again is around 293 and change, right? But pre-market, I think the high was roughly 296, something like this from a previous day. So second thing we're going to do then is go into intraday chart. Now, pre-market, this is what you would most probably see, right? Going into the open, this is what you would see, right? So we have our high, we have our low from the previous day, just to make sure that it's not an inside day, because if price was around 286, I would not be touching this trade. The only way I would be taking the trade is probably break of 288. Okay. So secondly, the highs are going to be around 296.43, which is the pre-market data, not from that pre-market day, but overall after hour data, which is giving us 296.43, right? So on the daily chart, we have a high from around 293 and change, which is I think coming in from right here. And then pre-market from that day was around roughly 296 and change. Okay. So these levels are going to be important because when stock is close to its all-time highs, you want to pay very close attention to these levels because this is where you usually see some sort of resistance from buyers or sellers depending on which direction you're looking at. So in this case, it's going to be from buyers. So you don't want to overlook these levels. So when I'm trading, I'm looking at multi-time frame. I'm looking at the hourly, I'm looking at the 15-minute, 5-minute, and 1-minute. Now that doesn't go to say that I'm looking at that time frame consistently every second. It's just to get a glimpse to see if there's anything upcoming coming up that I need to be aware of. Now, they had a catalyst as well regarding Gemini update, which is one of the reasons why I had this on my watch. Second is that it is very close to its all-time highs as well. We've been consolidating on the daily chart on the sideways for quite some time. So going back to this chart, right, we've been kind of in this consolidation zone, and now when we got right back into this, so this is basically what you would have seen. So yeah, pretty much consolidating in this range, and now we're coming back to, you know, pretty much previous day. We pulled back almost 50% or more from that low of that candle, right, which was a very strong reversal. So with that catalyst going into the following day, so what I usually look for when I go in for these opening drives is some sort of a catalyst. And second thing I like to look for is the stock staying above previous day's high, right? So pretty much most people call it an inside day. I like the stock to show some sort of strength going into the next day, right? If it's showing strength, that means that there is some sort of catalyst that could drive the stock up. So then you look for that catalyst, which was the Gemini news, and that gives you the confirmation to, okay, now I can go after this trade. Second thing I look for after that is where would I look to enter? Again, this is what you would probably see at the open. So going into the open, I want to see a pullback. I don't want to have price looking like this at the open, because then it gets very, very risky in terms of when I should be taking that trade. Okay, because then there's no pullback, there's no, data coming in from buyers and sellers where I can kind of gauge who's in control. So usually when it pulls back like this, it gives me a much better idea as to, okay, where can I jump into the trade, right? If it was breaking out of 290, I would have to look at previous levels, and that's not something I kind of like to do. So in this case, we're gonna draw out the pre-market high level, which is roughly around, let's just put it evenly at 290, right? Even though we didn't hit that, it's around 10 cents away, but we're gonna use that 290 as that main level. I don't like to jump in at the break of that level. I like to jump in a little bit earlier, because that helps me understand, again, who's in control, if there's more buyers or sellers. Looking into it from that perspective, you'll have enough time to react if you're wrong. Now, if I'm jumping in right at the crack of 290 and it fails right away around that time, you guys have seen when we get momentum and we get that aggressive reversal or rejection, premiums lose value very aggressively, right? So with options, you want to be more careful. So basically, you want to try to find an early entry. So the early entry for us is going to be somewhere around that 289 level. You guys can see where we've had multiple rejections pre-market, and going into the open with that pullback, you see how we go right back to 287. So when we go into 287, so you guys can see exactly what happened going into the open. So you guys can see we go all the way down under 287. At the open, we have a slight pullback again, and then we start to push up. Now remember, that early entry for us is going to be over 289 with a stop of roughly around that 288 level, right? And at that point, when we close and hold above the 289, so usually this early on when I'm taking the opening drive, the only close you can rely on is going to be the 1 minute time frame if you don't know how to read the tape. If you do know how to read the tape, which is level 2 in time and sales, what you want to look for is, in this case, on the tape, you want to see buyers holding that level. So in this case, it's going to be 289. You want to see strength coming in from the buyers around that 289. If you know how to read the tape, then it's going to be much easier for you. But if you don't, then you're going to have to wait for a close, maybe 1 minute time frame, because early on this time, that's the only other time frame that you can really rely on. So this is where we took that trade based on our pre-market game plan. I also posted the pre-market webinar that I did that particular day on my social media. So if you guys want to hop on there, you can go and check that video out explaining exactly what I'm mentioning here. And this is where we pretty much took that trade, right? We went for 290 strike. Now the reason why we did the 290 strike is because once the strike becomes in the money, it's considered to be safe zone. Now your premiums are not going to lose value as aggressively as you would if you had did the 295s or 300, which is further out of the money contracts. Even though we had 2 to 3 days till expiration, as we get closer to the end of the week, I like to get in at the money contracts rather than further out, because the goal is going to be to get that strike in the money. Okay, so now the reason why that is very important is because if you guys follow me for a second, right? So this 290, let's say, is our strike. So our entry point is going to be right around this green line, and this red, let's assume, is our stop loss, right? At this point, once the stock price is above your strike or below, depending on if it's a call or a put, and you're in the money, your premiums are going to start collecting intrinsic value. Second thing you want to pay attention to is how far away is price getting from your entry point. Further the price is away from your entry point, and the deeper it is in the money. So from 290 to, let's say here we're talking about up until 293, that's going to be $3 in the money and $4 away from your entry point, right? When you look at a trade in that way, that should give you the confidence to hold the trade for much longer. So now I'm going to show you guys how I scaled out and how I was able to get 77% net profit. And again, there are some things that I think I could have done a little differently, but because of the nature of the current market, I wanted wanted to protect myself in case this reverses, which it actually did reverse today. Today's Thursday when I'm recording this video, and I took Google trade anticipating a similar move like this, but it reversed. And even after scaling out, I was still a little bit red. But that's the whole point when you scale out, the initial 20-30%, right? So you guys can see here, I scaled out at 9:32, another scale out at 9:32, and another scale out 2 minutes later. So within the first 4 minutes of opening that trade, I had scaled out from $4.55 to an average of roughly around $6. But after that, you guys see that there starts to be a little bit of a lag between when I'm taking the scale out. The next one is at 10 minutes later, followed by another one, which is going to be around 8 to 10 minutes later, again at $11. Then we see another push up. Then I wait for a little bit of a pullback where I scale out at $13.10. One mistake that I think I did is I didn't scale anything out when I had another aggressive push. Usually when we have an aggressive push up, at around that time, we have premium spike coming in because a lot of people are chasing and jumping into those trades. And at this time, usually premiums are priced much higher. So I believe they were roughly around $14 to $15 in between that range, right around here. I had increased the stop to 302, but I didn't wait for the candle to close. I ended up closing the trade because of that slowdown of volume. So as we're going up, you guys can see from here up until here, right? We had very consistent volume, growing of volume, and a somewhat of a good follow through. But then when we had that new high of the day here, from here, this volume to this volume where we had formed a new high here, when we made a new high later on, 20 minutes later, volume was not there. So when volume is not there, that tells me that there is a lack of interest, because the more volume, more transactions, which means there's more interest. It could be upside or downside, but that shows us that there are people still interested in this particular stock. Usually I wait for the candle to close, especially if there is volume, if there is momentum. I like to wait for that candle to close to take my remaining position off. But in this case, because of that volume slowing down, I decided to close the trade, take the profits, and walk away. I'm making total of $52,890, pretty much $52,800 after the commissions. All right, so the main thing I want you guys to focus on, which I push very heavily, is you have to learn to lock in profits. Initially, take 10 to 15% off the table in terms of your return. So the moment you're up 10%, take a little bit off. Especially if you're a new trader and you're struggling to find that consistency, your stop loss, try to keep it at 10 to 15% loss. And the moment you're up 10 to 15%, take those profits, because that's going to help you build foundation. So for example, let's say I'm a trader that has been struggling and I'm trying to find consistency, and I'm finally starting to see that consistency, but I'm closing those trades out. What you want to do is go over all your trades and see, okay, if I'm closing all of my trades right here and 90% of my trades are working out, if I had held, I would have been up, let's say, another 20% or 30%. What you want to change in your trading at that point is where you're closing your trades out completely. So let's say you have 5 contracts, or you're in with $1,000 position size, close 70% of your position or $800 worth of your position on that initial push. So you're up 10%, take those profits off the table. The remaining position, pay attention to that price action, pay attention to the volume, keep increasing the stop loss until your stop is triggered. Don't close that trade. But make sure you guys go over your TradeZilla track record to make sure that where you're exiting, the stock is still pushing, right? Some people have a better eye of a perfect exit, while some people have a perfect eye for a perfect entry, right? So you want to make sure you want to identify where is your strength. So if your strength is at perfect entries, then you want to focus on how you can have better exits. If you have perfect exits, you want to figure out how you can have better entries. And that's going to come from your data point, right? That's how I'm able to figure out when I should be scaling out, where I should be scaling out, how much I should be scaling out. And that's how you're going to have a high return. That's how you're going to have a high R multiple. You can sit there and plan as much as you want before market saying, okay, I'm going to get in here. R multiple is going to be 10, 20 over here. It doesn't work. It's much easier to talk about it sitting behind a camera or social media. But when you're in the actual trade, it's much tougher. So the only way you're going to be able to hit these high R multiples that everybody talks about is going over your data and going over your trades and making small changes to help you get better over time. I hope this video helped you guys. If there's any recommendations, comment below. Also comment what helped you from this video, because I push a lot of content focused more on helping traders get better, especially at holding winning trades, because I firmly believe that if you can hold 1 to 2 winning trades a week above your normal 1R multiple, you can have a steady growth in your trading, and that's how you can get better at trading. So if you learn anything from this video, comment below exactly what helped you, and I'll see you guys in the next video.